viewers, this is the global news on Top Accolade News. First, the headlines. HYPREP says federal government has released $360 million for Ogoni's cleanup. Serap sues Tinubu over 400 billion naira savings. Niger's airspace closed. England beat Super Falcons on penalties to reach quarterfinals. Details coming up shortly. HYPREP says federal government has released $360 million for Ogoni's cleanup. The federal government agency for managing environmental pollution and related issues, the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, HYPREP, has announced that it has received $360 million for the cleanup of the polluted Ogoni land in Niger Delta. The HYPREP project coordinator, Professor Neni Barini Zabi, made this known upon the completion of a 4-day tour of remediated project sites and the reticulated water projects in the 4 government areas of Ogoni. According to him, a lot of activities are going on in Ogoni land with regard to the remediation project of both contaminated land and wetland. He also noted that the mandate of HYPREP is on course in the Ogoni environment. Zabi also said that the $360 million has not exhausted and contractors are still being paid. Tinubu governors sharing boundary with Niger meet. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu met with governors of states that share boundaries with Niger Republic on Sunday at the State House, Abuja. The meeting was in continuation of efforts to resolve the political crisis in Niger Republic. Governors in attendance were Ahmed Aliyu, Sokoto, Umar Namadi, Jigawa, Mai Malam Bani, Yobe, Idris Nasser, Kebbi, and Dr. Diko Rada Katsina. The outcome of the closed-door meeting remained sketchy at the time Top Accolade News compiled this news bulletin. It would be recalled that President Tinubu, as chairman of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, had declared a 7-day ultimatum to the military junta in Niger Republic to return power back to Mohamed Bazoum. Tinubu also wrote to the Senate to approve the deployment of military personnel to the troubled Niger, but got advice to tread carefully in the present circumstances. Moving on, Catholic bishops, JNI, ANI, and other oppose military intervention in Niger. Calls for the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to tread with caution in the political crisis in Niger Republic continue to pour in, adding that voices to this calls over the weekend are the Catholic Bishop Conference of Nigeria, CBCN, and the Jama'atu Nasril Islam, JNI, and the Alumni Association of National Institute, ANI. Speaking on the issue of Ngo Okpala, Imo State, on Sunday, the president of CBCN, Most Reverend Lucius Iwejuru Ugoji, urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to dissuade ECOWAS heads of state from using military might to subdue the coup plotters in Niger Republic in order to avoid that bloodshed that will ensue. On its part, JNI's Secretary General Prof. Khalid Aliyu condemned the coup in that country but warned Nigeria and ECOWAS authorities not to take military action against the junta. The group said that the interlaced landscape of the northern state of Nigeria and the Niger Republic necessitates a more cautious and thoughtful action and approach. JNI made its position known in a statement issued in Kaduna on Sunday. Also making this stand known, the Alumni Association of the National Institute, ANI, on Sunday expressed support for ECOWAS intervention in the impasse that has engulfed that country but cautioned against immediate military action. And he noted in a statement issued by its spokesman, Brigadier General Sani Usman, retired on Sunday, that non-military options like diplomatic pressure and economic sanctions should be adopted towards a peaceful resolution and a quicker return to democratic governance in Niger Republic. Still on Niger, Niger's airspace closed. The coup leaders in Niger Republic have ordered the closure of the country's airspace, warning that any attempt to violate it would meet with energetic and immediate response. Announcing this development on Sunday, the coup leaders said that the airspace closure affects all aircraft until further notice. The move came as a deadline of the West African bloc ECOWAS from the leaders of the coup to hand back power to the democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum expired on Sunday. Away from that, more Nigerians react to Niger Republic crisis. The ongoing political crisis in Niger Republic has caused uproar across many African countries. In Nigeria, some concerned individuals have expressed their view on how the Nigerian government should manage the situation. According to a report filed by Top Accolade News, Inye Krukubo, Nigerians say that since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is ECOWAS chairman, he should take decisions on the issue cautiously in order not to escalate the crisis across the West African sub-region and especially in Nigeria.
Reacting to the failed effort to resolve the Niger Republic crisis when a delegation from Nigeria met with the coup leaders in Niger Republic, a gubernatorial candidate of the All Progressives Congress in the last election, Architect Toye Patrico, says that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is tasked with the responsibility to lead diplomatic efforts to mediate between the coupists and the political class that has been displaced.
My opinion regarding the coups in West Africa and this threat of war against Niger is that as the leader within the West African ecosystem, Nigeria does have a role and has a say in the stability of the sub-region. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has a responsibility to lead diplomatic efforts to mediate between those who have taken over in the coup and the political class that has been displaced. There is a reason why coups occur, and one of them would be a dissatisfaction in the way countries have been run, in the way those at the helm of power at the time have either treated the people or treated the mandate that they have. Whatever the case, war should be the very, very last option. War devastates nations, it devastates people, it devastates infrastructure, it devastates the socioeconomic lifestyle and well-being of the citizens. It's not something to take lightly. The Nigerians and Nigerians have been from the same culture, same family, same bloodline for a long time. War should not be an immediate option. It should be, if at all, an option of last resort.
In another reaction, an expert in peace and conflict resolution, Dr. Cyril Ozurumba, has advised that President Tinubu, being the chairman of the ECOWAS, should ensure that Africa at large is free from debt, so that Africa will be free from what he described as the economic bondage of the West. He noted that large-scale indebtedness was a major problem of Africa, including Nigeria.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu is now the ECOWAS president. First of all, is that we have to understand that many African countries are heavily indebted. Some of them are living just to service these foreign loans that have collected, and some of these foreign loans have not impacted positively on our economic well-being. As it is now, permit me to say that many African countries are also being colonized economically. Even Nigeria is not exempted from this economic realism. A president what he should do now is to ensure that most African countries liberate themselves from what I call the economic bondage of the West. The unity among African states. Most of African states are still loyal to date to their former colonial masters, dividing Africa along colonial lines. That's why there's insecurity in most of African countries. That is why that African countries cannot speak with one mind. That is why the West had leveraged on all these problems and then had emerged as a supermaster to all these African countries.
In Port Harcourt, Top Accolade News.
You're watching the news on Top Accolade News. Please stay with us. Female soldier kills captain in Adamawa. A female soldier enforcing the curfew imposed by the Adamawa state government has killed a senior colleague at a checkpoint in Yola, Adamawa state in northeast Nigeria. According to the report from military sources, the female soldier, a lance corporal, shot a captain who attempted to intervene in an altercation with civilians at fire service roundabout Yola. The female soldier reportedly insisted that motorists, including workers on essential duty, coming home during the curfew hours must turn back. Some people stopped at the checkpoint and explained themselves as workers on essential duties, but the female soldier insisted that they must turn back. The captain was said to have gone forward to intervene, and unfortunately, she had already cocked a rifle and fired, killing him accidentally. The lance corporal was instantly arrested and whisked away by soldiers. It will be recalled that Governor Amadu Fintiri, the Adamawa state governor, imposed the curfew after hoodlums broke into the government warehouse and looted several items, including palliatives meant to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy. Still moving on, Serap sues Tinubu over 400 billion naira savings. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, Serap, has approached a federal high court over the failure of President Bola Tinubu to publish spending details of money saved from fuel subsidy on premium motor spirits, otherwise called petrol. Serap litigation follows reports that the federal government has saved 400 billion naira within the first 4 weeks of the implementation of the removal of subsidy on petrol policy. According to Serap's statement issued on Sunday in Lagos by Serap's Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadare, the organization is seeking an order of the court to direct and compel Tinubu to publish details of spending of about 400 billion naira saved as a result of removal of subsidy on petrol from Monday, May 29, 2023. Serap is arguing that the government has a legal obligation to ensure that the savings from the removal of subsidy are spent for the benefit of poor Nigerians who is said are bearing the brunt of the removal. Serap is also praying for an order to mandamus the compel President Tinubu to provide details of the mechanism that have been put in place to ensure that the savings from the removal of subsidy on petrol are not diverted into private pockets. Still on that, Atiku sued Tinubu in the United States. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the February 25th presidential election has dragged President Bola Tinubu before the United States of America District Court for the Northern District of Illinois after withdrawing an existing case before a circuit court in Illinois. This development was disclosed by the Special Assistant on Public Communications to Abubakar, Frank Shaibu. He said Atiku is pursuing the same matter in a higher court and wanted to avoid abuse of court processes. According to Shaibu, Tinubu's academic records from primary school to university remain questionable. Hence, the president's inability to identify a single former classmate of his. Shaibu noted that in recent years, past presidents have invited their former classmates to Aso Rock, but Tinubu invited state governors from the 1999 set to the presidential villa. Away from that, Ganduje says Tinubu has no idea how Shetty made ministerial list. As reactions continue to trail the withdrawal of the name Miriam Shetty from the ministerial list he sent to the National Assembly for screening and approval, the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress APC, Abdullahi Ganduje, has disclosed why Shetty was dropped from the ministerial list. It would be recalled that the Senate had scheduled to screen Shetty on Friday, but Tinubu replaced her with Maria Mahmoud Mariga Bankure shortly before the screening commenced. NCAA signs pact with ICAO and others. The Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA) has signed the Civil Aviation Master Plan camp with the International Civil Aviation Organization (ICAO), according to a statement issued by NCAA's Director General Captain Musa Nuhu. Nuhu signed on behalf of NCAA, while ICAO Secretary General Mr. Juan Carlos Salazar signed on behalf of ICAO during Nuhu's recent visit to ICAO in Montreal, Canada. Nuhu said that the master plan, when implemented, will further unlock opportunities in the Nigerian aviation industry, adding that it was a major step in repositioning the country's aviation industry to attain its full potential and make significant contributions to the nation's economic growth and development. He explained that all relevant stakeholders within and outside the aviation ecosystem will be involved in developing and implementing the camp agreement. In a related development, the Director General of Civil Aviation Authority Nigeria, Captain Musa Nuhu, and the Director General La Agence Nationale de Aviation Civile, ANAC, Benin Republic, Mr. Carl Legba, have also signed the Aeronautical Search and Rescue SAR Memorandum of Understanding MOU between Nigeria and Benin Republic. This took place on August 3rd, 2023. Captain Nuhu said the signing of the overdue MOU will enhance the safety of flights operations in the West African sub-region. NMA asks government to reverse the no work, no pay plans. 3 chapters of the Nigeria Medical Association (NMA), namely the Federal Capital Territory, Nasarawa and Kogi State, have urged the federal government to reconsider its plans of no work, no pay on medical workers, saying the act will further destroy the sector. They made the call during a news conference held on Sunday in Abuja to usher in the 2023 Annual General Meeting AGM and Scientific Conference of the NMA-FCT. Speaking, Dr. Charles Ugwuanyi, chairman of the NMA-FCT, condemned the proposed idea by the federal government in response to the ongoing strike by the National Association of Residents Doctors (NARD). According to Ugwuanyi, if the government goes on with the plan, it will further encourage the perceived healthcare challenge of the death of doctors, where most of them have already moved out of the country. And away from politics, AY reacts as fire got his home. Showbiz personality Ayo Makun, popularly known as AY, has reacted as fire got at his home on Sunday. A video recorded and posted on social media by @PostHubsman showed how AY house was gutted by fire in Lagos. Many colleagues and fans of the comedian have sympathized with him over the incident. Reacting, AY via his Instagram handle appreciated God for the safety of his family who are abroad. He noted that what were important to him was God and family, noting that everything else comes and goes. Still moving on, England beat Super Falcons on penalties to reach quarter-finals. European champions England have defeated the 9-time Women's Africa Cup of Nations winners Nigeria on penalties to qualify for the quarter-finals of the ongoing Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. The Super Falcons held the European champions to a goalless draw in the normal regulation time of 90 minutes and the 30 minutes extra time. The England side was reduced to 10 players when Lauren James got red-carded for stamping on Michelle Chiwendu Alozie. And that's the news for now. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Hyprep said federal government released $360 million for Ogoni cleanup. Serap has sued Tinubu over 400 billion naira savings. Niger has closed its airspace. England has beaten Super Falcons to reach quarterfinals in WWC. And thanks for joining us. I am Jonathan Powe. Do enjoy the rest of your day.